Hello, everyone. It's Stephanie Clegg, licensed associate counselor, back for you know what? Another mental health moment. So, as promised, today's topic is Wounded Healer Part 2. If you have not had the opportunity to look at Part 1 of this presentation, you can do so at any time. I'll do a brief recap here before moving forward. So, we talked about what a wounded healer is, according to Henry Nouwen, who coined or created the term wounded healer. He was speaking mostly about counselors, and it's counselors who help heal others by profession or by calling, as I call it, but are wounded themselves. So we can look at people like people in the medical field, doctors, nurses, firemen, police, social workers, teachers, therapists, people in the religious sector, pastors, rabbis, leaders, ministry leaders. We're all helpers. We all do what we do by either occupation or calling because we like helping people. And in doing so, according to Henry now, it's important for us as healers or what I call also nurturers, right? Because there's some people that don't help others by necessarily a profession, but just because it's just something innate in them to want to help others and want to nurture others and defend others and provide for others. I call those the wounded nurturers, right? So the wounded healers and nurturers, which talked about in the last video, just those that help others, and we have wounds ourselves, right? So we're helping other people, and as I said in the last video, and we're broken, and we're hurt, and we're damaged, and we're in pain. Um, when I first got my license as an associate counselor, I put a note, a sign on my office door that my husband talks about to this day. He says she got a license, and then she starts putting signs up about being in session. And actually, what the sign says is that self care is a necessity and not a luxury. So hear me well. Self care is a necessity. It's not a luxury. It's not a luxury. And we're going to talk about that tonight and why that's important, why self care is so important. I know I mentioned in the last video that if we don't practice self care, and actually the most effective helpers practice good self care, they're good self care skills. But if we don't practice good self care, we find ourselves burnt out. Unable to function, unable to take another step or help another person. Um, and also emotionally bankrupt, which means we're tired, we're stressed out, we're frustrated, we're angry, we're easily irritated if we don't practice self care. So let's look at briefly today. I want to share with you why self care is important and, and and why so many things depend on our self care. So, the American Counseling Association puts out a code of ethics. And the last time they did so was in 2014, was the last version or iteration of the code of ethics. And it's basically providing foundational principles of ethical behavior so that when counselors are engaging people, or I would even say those who help or nurture, you're helping someone, that you want to do that in an ethical manner. So I wanted to point out two of the principles of the foundational principles in terms of ethical behaviors, and I'm going to tell you why that's important. One is beneficence. It's the act of providing services, or helping people in doing and acting in the best interest of the person, of the client, and promoting their well-being. So, right? So, beneficence. So, it's the act of acting in the best interest of a client and promoting their well-being. So, when I'm seeing a client, I'm not looking to promote my well-being, what's best for me. I'm looking to promote what's best for the client as defined by the client. I'm not telling the client what to do and what's best for them. So that's one of the ethical principles. And then the other one is non maleficence. The big mouthful, right? non-maleficence. And what that is just basically avoiding actions that cause harm. So as doctors, right, doctors take that oath, counselors take that oath that we would avoid actions that would actually harm our clients. So you wonder, so what does beneficence and non-maleficence have to do with self-care? Here's what I've come up with. So the the level and quality of care that others receive from helpers are dependent upon the level and quality of self-care of the helper. Get that? I'm going to say that again. The level and quality of care that others receive from helpers is dependent upon the level and quality of self-care of the helper. In other words, there's a few other phrases that I want to throw out at you. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're emotionally bankrupt, if you're challenged by your own wounds, your own pains, you can't pour out to other people. You can't give to other people, at least not at 100%, not the best version of yourself. And another phrase is you can't give what you don't have. So if we're going to help and we're going to try to uplift and encourage and provide and nurture other people, we have to present the best version of ourselves, right? When we're doing that. So as helpers, wounded nurturers, we must be able to bounce back from the demands of helping to be resilient, right? We have to have a certain level of resilience. We have to be able to bounce back. And part of that is, again, based on our self care skills. Last week, we talked about developing techniques for things like stress management. How are you managing stress in your life? How are your time management skills? Are you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, running late, unorganized? Um, what about relaxation? Do we even know how to relax? Do we even know how to sit still and just experience quietness? At the posting of this video, I'm going to also attach a mindfulness video for you guys to try and just see if it gives you some sense of grounding, some sense of relaxation, leisure. What are you doing in your leisure time? All work and no play makes people boring, and it makes you sick, and it makes you unhealthy. You have to have we have to have leisure activities. And then also personal self-renewal. What are you doing to promote yourself? What are you doing to increase your knowledge, increase your skills? What are you doing with the talents that you have? Okay. So that's it for today's video. I do want to say my next video, I know I mentioned previously that we're going to talk about psychological fortitude. So I'm going to do a video just on psychological fortitude as a type of psychological resilience. Okay, so please make sure that you share these videos. You don't know who's a wounded healer. We don't always show it on the outside, but share this video. Someone reading a post on your Facebook page, on your YouTube page, may need to see this information and make a decision to practice self-care. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your comments and your feedback, and I'll see you on the next video.